Hello, and welcome to Forgotten Frights. I'm Josh, and I'm sitting here with Adam.
Hey, what's up?
And today on the podcast, we're reviewing the 1958 horror film, The Horror of Dracula, directed by Terence Fisher, written by Jimmy Sangster, and starring Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Michael Gough, Melissa Stribling, and Carol Marsh. Here's the trailer.
This is the story of Dracula, a creature who destroys all whom he touches. Dracula the terrifying, the feared, who sleeps in the tombs of the dead by day and arises at night to inflict his terror upon the innocent and the unsuspecting.
You must help me. You must. You're my only hope. You must.
I'll help you. I promise.
Please try and understand. This is not Lucy, the sister you loved. It's only a shell, possessed and corrupted by the evil of Dracula.
How do you destroy a fiend who has so far proven himself indestructible? Those who come to end his reign of terror stay to become his victims.
Castle Dracula is somewhere here in Klausenberg. Will you tell me how I get there?
You ordered a meal, sir. As an innkeeper, it's my duty to serve you. When you've eaten, I ask you to go and leave us in peace.
This is the doctor who dares to challenge the vampire Dracula. This is the anguished man who fears for the lives of his beloved, the girl who is his sister, and the one that is his wife. Dracula, the bedeviled master of all that is evil.
Okay, there was the spooktacular trailer, or spooktastic. I think I've used spooktacular. But the spooktastic trailer to The Horror of Dracula, starring Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Adam, how's it going?
Good. It's warm outside today.
It is. We took the month of July off. I think our last published podcast was June 30th. And I think it makes perfect sense because we both were extremely busy this past month. I've been camping a lot. And yeah, so it's been nice to have that little breezeway there between podcasting.
Yeah, the summer has been very eventful. I feel like every year I make a commitment to say I'm not going to pack my summer so full, and it just never works. So
my wife and I started doing the Notes app on my phone, and then we just share it with each other. So we both just log the dates because I forget constantly, I'll set up stuff to do this coming weekend, and then it'll turn out we were supposed to have been camping, and we set that up like 3 months prior. So now it's like, it actually makes a little bit more sense this summer. We're staying on top of things, which is nice. But we've had a few instances where things pop up, and it's like, oh, we forgot we were doing that.
I just have to rely on my wife to remind me what we're doing each weekend, because it is certainly not sitting down and relaxing.
Yes, yeah.
It's just a lot of stuff, but
I can recall I think you and I went to a Jethro Tull concert, and I can remember like the day before I was at your house, and you're like, hey, excited to go see Tull. And I'm like, oh God, like we have to go tomorrow and I have to find a babysitter. Like it was that level of me not remembering. Okay, so we are reviewing The Horror of Dracula, 1958. Would you like to hear some of the taglines?
Yeah, lay them on me.
All right. The first one is, don't dare see it, ... alone.
All right, yeah. I mean, I get it.
Yeah. And this is 58, so, they're giving you a heads up. Spooky things have been happening this past decade in cinema, so be wary. I like this one. It says, important note, don't confuse this picture with the other Dracula movies. This is the newest and best one, and the only one in Technicolor.
That's a real tagline?
I guess. I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't see it on the poster myself, but it was
Sounds
under a category that said tagline.
Something they could get sued.
I like
Vampires never existed before this movie. Sleep.
in this tagline, the words that are all caps are Dracula, newest, best, only one, Technicolor.
Newest only.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, what is the I'm gonna mess it up, but the Lionel Hutz. No, money down.
Yeah.
From The Simpsons. Okay. This one starts with an ellipsis. There's a lot of ellipses in these old taglines. So this is ... Now she's one of the dead alive brides of Dracula.
Yeah. That happens quite a few times, actually.
It does. It happens a couple times in the film.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. So I'm just kind of going through them. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to get your impression.
Feel free.
This is 4 of like 10. Sensational shock and thrill show. That's another tagline.
That's very generic. The one before that, you said there was an ellipsis before?
At the very start.
Do you think the word before that was, hey?
Actually, going back to the one
some guy
says,
trying to get your attention.
That's exactly what I was going to say about the tagline that says Dracula, newest, best. It's almost like somebody screaming it in a crowd and you're only catching those words. Dracula, newest, best. Like those are.
Yeah. He's got Dracula hand puppets, Dracula ice cream sandwiches. I mean, he's just like, you have to see this.
Listen, buddy, I've got Dracula hands.
I took out a mortgage on my house for this.
This one's good too. Every night he rises from his coffin bed, silently to seek the soft flesh, the warm blood he needs to keep himself alive.
I think that one is the best one that really encapsulates the movie so far.
I think it fits the atmosphere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's more of them because this film was like a double feature with a lot of other films, and one of the films it was a double feature with, it seems often, was The Curse of Frankenstein, a movie we previously reviewed.
Oh yeah.
So these two movies would come out. I would assume the drive-in, or they would be at like a temple theater type thing as like a double showing when those were hip. We have Frankenstein spills it, Dracula drinks it, in the screen's greatest double creature feature. Double bill with The Curse of Frankenstein.
They never talk about blood.
No, it could be juice.
Could be juice, could be booze.
Could be vodka.
Yeah.
Bela Lugosi. No, Boris Karloff, sorry.
Could be a lemon lime little hug.
Actually, a film we previously reviewed and discussed, but Lon Chaney Jr. in The Haunted Castle.
The Haunted Palace?
Yeah, I was called The Haunted Castle.
Yeah.
That is so funny that in that episode, I could not remember the name of it, and I kept calling it The Haunted Castle, and you kept correcting me that it was The Haunted Palace, and you just did it again.
I don't remember ever doing that, but yeah.
I could not remember. I was like, the darkest place on earth, and you're like, it's The Haunted Palace. Like, oh, okay. But Lon Chaney Jr. is in that movie, and he looks like he spills it and drinks it.
Oh, yeah.
He looks rough.
He looks pretty bloated in that movie.
Okay, this is another one. A double dose of full color thrills. Double bill with The Curse of Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Christopher Lee's fantastic first ever performance as the Lord of the Undead.
Fantastic got me. Every time.
Just a few more. The chill of the tomb won't leave your blood for hours after you come face to face with Dracula. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if hours was the right word. Like, I don't know. It's just like it'll stay with you for a while. Like,
yeah,
hours is like, oh yeah, I feel better now.
The chill of the tomb won't leave your blood for hours.
For hours.
Okay. So if you watch it at 7, by 9 you'll be good.
Yeah, I can go right to sleep. I'm fine now. The chill's gone.
That was the other tagline. I'm fine now. The terrifying lover who died, yet lived.
Yeah.
And finally, who will be his bride tonight? It's probably more like, who will be his bride tonight?
Yeah.
Or just, who will be his bride
tonight?
But
just his bride. I mean, that sounds kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we get into it, Adam? Why don't we get into the film? This is an interesting one. I think we have some of definitely like the Curse of Frankenstein adaptation I don't know if we want to call those issues right off the bat, but I think it's, these early Hammer horror productions seem very slow. I think they really leaned into the Gothic themes. We've discussed that before, but very much like the slow build and then the occasional gasps
happening.
of horror.
Yeah. They nailed the Gothic part for sure. The set design was very cool. It was super foggy in a lot of the graveyard, courtyard scenes. So that's always appreciated. You know what you're getting into when you watch these movies.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if the atmosphere is there, that's, for me, it's half the battle.
Yeah.
And this movie it's strange because part of it feels like a pretty close adaptation, but every once in a while they'll be like, we're going to change this a little bit.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. And we can discuss that too. I should touch on this is our spookiest episode yet because it's episode 13.
Oh.
And we're doing the Curse of Dracula on episode 13.
All right.
Now, in honor of that, I'm going to crack this bubbly coconut pineapple. How's your orange cream over there, Adam?
It is terrifyingly good.
Yeah. You can taste the pineapple.
And did I say it was warm? It's actually very dark clouds and thunderstorms.
It's not a beautiful
it's not
July
full
day.
sun. It's hurting my eyes.
Did you want me to close the drapes?
Oh, no.
Is this
fine.
comfortable?
Yeah.
We're looking at the greenery outside.
It's great.
It's like I love recording at your house too, because we're sitting there having these conversations about just horrifying, and it's just like this beautiful greenery out your window.
No, the barn kind of looks like the haunted castle from that movie we watched.
The haunted palace.
Oh, that's right.
Now I the other hand is on the other foot.
That's right.
The other foot is on the other hand. And then I also want to touch on, before we get into the movie, because I feel like I'm stalling now at this point, but we have about 200 downloads on Podbean, which is pretty cool. And then on YouTube, we have about 500, just crossed 500 views. With some of those, it seems like Twice Told Tales seems to be a very popular episode. I don't know why, but it's got, that one's cracked about 100 views itself. So yeah, we're kind of moving along. And then I've just been trying to monitor some of the other downloads and things, but it seems like, to get some downloads, which is good. And we don't advertise this at all. And I think that's kind of the way to do it. I like kind of just being able to post it and let it do its own thing. And I'm not, harping on it on social media all the time. Listen to us.
Yeah.
We're great.
I mean, obviously, both you and I are doing this because we have a passion for movies.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody's getting anything out of these podcasts, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I had a previous podcast where a friend of mine would often remark, there are more people on your podcast than those who listen to it, which was entirely true. So right now, that's not true.
Yeah.
Now I'm fighting back with Forgotten Frights. All right, so getting into the Horror of Dracula, we've got Jonathan Harker arrives at Castle Dracula in Klausenberg to take his spot as the castle or the town librarian. Or is it a castle or is it a palace? No, I don't know.
It's Castle Dracula.
It is, yeah. It's not the haunted
It's not Palace Dracula.
of Dracula.
No.
Yeah, the Castle Dracula. So he's taking his spot as the librarian, which I thought was kind of interesting. Because it seems like if he's going to do that, why is he talking to Dracula? But he's like, curate my books.
I guess,
yeah.
That's wildly different than the original story there.
So because the original story, we've got Harker shows up after Renfield, and he's doing some like estate work. I'm going to move my phone over here because I feel like I got a little zip. He's doing estate work for Dracula. I think he's getting him a new, not a parsonage, but what am I thinking of?
I think he's
house over in London.
Yeah, like an abbey. Yeah.
An abbey, yeah. So he's moving there. So yeah, they just, for whatever reason in this adaptation, they're like, nah, he's gonna
he's just a librarian.
He's a librarian. Yeah. He's doing that. So once he gets there, he immediately meets a woman who needs his help. I believe he finds a note in the beginning that says like, I can't join you. It's a note from Dracula. It's like, I can't join you, but help yourself to this, hang out in my castle. And I'll be there for dinner or something like that.
He has a cloche with some food, and he's like, go ahead and grab a bite to eat, and he does, and then he knocks something off the table, and then he looks up, and there's the lady.
Yes, and then she is like, you have to help me, please save me. And then Christopher Lee arrives. Harker, I think, tells her, yes, I'll do my best to help you. Christopher Lee arrives and gets him to his room. This is where we find out that Harker is actually a vampire hunter.
Again, yeah, just
Kind of interesting that they
Yep.
went this route with it.
that confused me. Like,
Yeah, so they know about vampires,
so yeah, like he's
Yeah.
pretty up on that stuff,
which
like
is
vampire
Yeah.
lore.
And Peter Cushing, who we'll find as Van Helsing, was just training him to be what ostensibly is the worst vampire hunter of all time.
He's real bad.
He's not
Yeah.
good at his
Yeah, he
job.
makes some serious missteps.
I would say, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, but he's immediately talking about how he's like, I'm gonna get this SOB, and it's just
Yeah.
like, wait a
and
second.
he's Dracula.
So we already know about other vampires?
Yeah, and Van Helsing is not like, this is young Peter Cushing, so this isn't like old man Van Helsing who needs help. Like, please go kill Dracula. It's more like, for your first assignment, you're going to go kill Dracula.
Yeah.
That's like sending a top secret agent to be like, your first job in the CIA is to infiltrate the Kremlin.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
that's
We need you to
pretty crazy.
take down James Bond, and then we'll go on to the
Yes.
the harder things.
It's like if Odd Job in James Bond, his first job was to kill James Bond, and then he had to like figure everything out as he went. Very interesting. But the woman appears again in Castle Dracula, and she tries to, this time kind of revealing that she's already vampiric.
Now, before that, Dracula says, "Hey, I gotta leave for a little while, so you go ahead and just use my house, mi casa su casa.
Yeah,
But I'm not gonna be around. So
this is where we
here's
get
the key to the library. All this.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So yeah, he gives him the open invitation.
Yep.
And this is where we get the first sense, and something I'm going to talk about as we discuss the film. Dracula doesn't really have any powers, and he's definitely just a dude walking around that castle.
Yeah.
He's and there are very specific examples that I'd like to illustrate as we go. But it's very 1958, so everything's very set heavy. So Dracula just like opens a door, and I think part of the issue here for me is having seen Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, which I think is like, people harp on that film because of Keanu Reeves, and rightly so. Who's a Winona Ryder, and they're doing these very like posh stage English accents. But a film that just absolutely nails atmosphere and like sensuality, and like Dracula is like floating from room to room pretty much. He's very like ethereal.
He's got costume changes. Yeah.
Costume changes.
Yeah.
He never seems to be like that. Is his shadow's moving around him.
Mhm.
Christopher Lee's just like
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah. Here, let me get those bags for you. Seriously, he like carries the luggage. He opens all the doors.
He opens all the doors.
The thing
I've never seen Dracula open a door.
So I will say though, part of that I appreciate, because things have gone so off the rails in the last 80 years, whatever, where it's like vampires are these crazy, and I get it. He is a supernatural being, but it's like also everything doesn't have to be over the top, crazy, scary either. I kind of like the fact that he like has to open the door.
He really does.
Yeah,
And he just, I think it's definitely interesting. I think it's an interesting interpretation. I like to imagine that kind of writer's room, or that pitch the director had to make, was definitely something to the level of like, what are you going to do different? He's like, Dracula's going to open doors. He's carrying the luggage.
Right.
He's going to be riding the carriage.
Yeah. He might be driving it.
He might even, we don't know. So the woman tries to bite this vampiric woman that shows up again.
Well, she reveals herself to be that. She's like, oh, this Drac's a real jerk. You got to get me out of here.
Yeah.
And then she tries to bite Harker, and then Drac comes in through the window, and he is mad.
He appears on like top of the stairs, right at the top of the stairs, and he's like, and they both look up, and he's just like,
he doesn't come through the window that time?
I don't think so.
Okay. I thought he did come through the window and he had like blood on his mouth. He's like already doing other stuff.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I just remember he was at the top of the stairs. Maybe he did.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm fully like immersed in this idea that he was just like, hey.
He's just always by a doorway, and he's
Yes.
always just opening it.
Well, he's at the top of the stairs, and it was poorly recorded. And he's like, what are you guys doing down there?
Oh, no. He came through the window and he's like, hey, somebody unlock that from the inside, because
I forgot my key.
Having a hard time.
Hey, what are you guys talking about? And so he comes running down the stairs, throws her like, a few feet, stakes his claim. I'm the Drac of the house, and sends her off.
Yep.
Harker has been bit on the neck, so it does turn out that she bit him.
And he knocks her out, and then he carries the lady away, and then Harker wakes up, and he's got bite mark.
Yes. And so then I think it's kind of within, now we're at a point where he's like, I'm going to turn into a vampire. So therefore I need to take care of this now before I turn.
And he's got that working knowledge of how vampires work.
Yeah.
Already. It's, so they've been dealing with these things for a long time.
I think it's just a weird, it's that, yeah, I mean, we can get to it, but it's weird that he's like, I have to ingratiate myself by being the librarian. But he has a working knowledge of being a vampire hunter. So much so that he's been sent to kill the vampire.
He brought pre-sharpened stakes with him.
I mean, okay. But he shows up and he's like, wouldn't you just I don't know, if you're a vampire hunter, just break into the house during the daytime and then just take care of business?
Yeah.
The last thing I would do as a vampire hunter is I got to go try to be friends with Dracula first. That's such a bad idea, right?
Maybe in 2 weeks I'll try the steak.
As long as he doesn't turn me into a thrall, use one of his thralls to kill me, seduce me in some way.
He's got all these doors to open.
Yes.
That sweet zip line.
Now, if he had a zip line at the top of the stairs and he came flying down, perfect for Dracula. Yeah. So Harker then goes and he finds the woman who bit him. Oh, this is after. So he's put his journal down by the road in a kind of a rock face for the villagers to find. And then he goes up and he says, I'm going to kill Dracula. And he goes in, finds Dracula's tomb under the castle and stakes the woman.
Well, he sees both the woman and Dracula's coffins.
Yes.
This is where I believe one of the first glaring instances of him being a bad vampire hunter is that he has the lord of the vampires, and then he has a lady who's under the vampire's control, and he's like, I'm going to take this lady out.
Yeah, first.
Yep.
Yeah, very strange. And then she turns into the old lady from room 237 in The Shining.
Is that the same lady?
I think it was.
I think it was, too. I like that she, I don't know if you caught this, but every vampire in the movie, in the coffin, they all had a pillow.
Oh, yeah. They were resting.
There was dirt that they were laying in, and then there's a pillow.
Well, yeah. So they probably was a specific kind of pillow, too.
Yeah.
Dracula's recommendation. Yeah. If you want to wake up with a sore neck.
Temper bleedick.
That's exactly what it was. And he's a bad guy, so he got it from that Mr. Pillow guy.
The My Pillow guy?
Oh, My Pillow.
Yeah.
Mr. Pillow, whatever.
Mr. Pillow's way
Haunted
better.
Palace, Haunted Castle.
Yep.
Tomato, tomato. It's better. It's actually better that I remember him as Mr. Pillow. All right. So then another favorite moment, Dracula catches Harker staking the lady, and he slams the door behind him. Angrily.
He does. Yeah.
And it fades to black.
Well, he disappears out of his coffin, and then he comes back
through the door. So what was he doing?
He was just doing a grand entrance. He's like, I open doors.
So he woke up because Harker staked the girl. He saw him doing that. He jumped out of his coffin. He ran into the hallway, and then he peeked around the corner and saw Harker turn around. Yeah. And then he came back to the door to be like, aha.
Yeah. Now I'm here.
He's like, I am supernatural. He's just trying to get him to.
How did I get here?
Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, Harker has been seemingly killed or punished by Dracula. We don't know. But then we cut to the arrival of Dr. Van Helsing, as played by Peter Cushing. I say a colleague of Harker, but I think he's the vampire trainer, vampire hunter trainer.
Yeah, I guess.
Whatever of that. So he's arrived to investigate Harker's disappearance, which I assume he was sent him on that journey or task or mission to go kill Dracula
by himself,
which is crazy to me. But so he arrives in the town that's just outside of Castle Dracula at an inn, and he investigates there.
Everybody's super cagey.
Mm.
He asks for a meal. It's an undefined meal from beginning to end. That's something that stuck out where it's just like, get this man a meal.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she's like, your meal's ready. It's
Yeah.
like, I have no idea what that is.
I wonder.
but
That's probably just what it was back
Sure.
in the day, right?
just
It's like,
give
can
me
I-
your best meal.
Yes. Can I see your menu? And it just says meal.
Meal.
1 gold coin.
And then Inga, his server, is because everybody else is kind of just shutting him out. So she gives him Harker's diary, and basically she was getting the impression that she shouldn't talk to him, but she was just kind of giving some info. So that was good of her to do.
Yeah, and it I do like that. Like I've always liked when the residents just outside of Castle Dracula are, they're scared and they're superstitious, and they have every right to be, because I'm sure people have been drained of their blood for years and years, right? So they're kind of cagey, and they're this, but Peter Cushing seems like a pretty intelligent fellow, so he's kind of, like, I'm here to kill Dracula. I'm here to, rid you guys of this, but they still don't want to help him. But she gives him his meal, which has the book inside, or has Harker's journal, not inside the meal, but inside of like a towel or a napkin that's next to it.
Yeah.
And then Cushing is like, oh, he found Dracula, and whoops, like, shouldn't have sent him to do that, I guess. I don't know. But Van Helsing then ventures. Oh, nope. He arrives at Castle Dracula before he goes to the other town. He finds Lucy's portrait, so he knows Harker's made it to Castle Dracula.
Well, he finds the broken picture frame that had Lucy's portrait.
Yes. Is the portrait gone?
Portrait's gone because earlier Drac's
okay.
like, you mind if I look at your wife?
Oh,
And
okay.
Harker's like, sure.
Well, that would make sense then. He's like, I know who I'm going after.
Yeah.
Because I have a picture of her. So Van Helsing finds Harker, who's now turned, resting peacefully on a pillow in his coffin, and he mercifully kills him with a stake.
Yes.
It is then that Van Helsing ventures to the town of Karlstadt and informs Arthur and Mina of Harker's death. And so Arthur and Mina also appeared in the original Bram Stoker novel, but they were secondary characters. Well, Mina would be one of the more prominent characters, but Arthur was just a suitor to Lucy Westernos, who was Mina's best friend.
Yes.
Here, he's like one of the main characters. He's
Lucy's brother.
Yes, and who I assume Jonathan Harker should have been in this movie.
I mean, he was, but I mean, then, he was a vampire hunter, and he's got a risky job.
And that's where I'm kind of like, it's 58, so whatever, but like rewrites of this film would have made sense in like, okay, you make that core group of characters. You've got Arthur, you've got Jonathan, you got Mina, you got Lucy. Make them all like vampire hunters that Van Helsing is training. And then the movie starts with Arthur going to the castle. And that way you still retain the Jonathan Harker, who is I don't know, he seems like an important character that you don't want to just lose in the first 20 minutes of a film. But
yeah.
Hammer was like, we don't care.
I think so. I think it was just like, we don't care as long as Van Helsing is the vampire hunter, and as long as Dracula is the Dracula, we don't care where anybody else falls.
Yeah, which is interesting, I guess, because Hammer gets sequel crazy. There's like I was talking to you before, but The Curse of Frankenstein has like, I don't even know, it was like 5 sequels or something, or 6, or that might even be too few. There's just so many sequels, it just seems killing.
Well, sequels is an interesting word because I feel like they retain the whole, like, we're going to have Frankenstein in this movie again, but they don't really have the same actor necessarily playing Frankenstein. They're not really going off the same. It's not like a through line story.
So interestingly,
as far as I know,
the Cushing ones, there are like 4 sequels that stay within line of The Curse of Frankenstein.
All right, well, maybe, okay.
And then it eventually gets to like Frankenstein's Brother, Part 7,
right,
where it's like, I've just built a time machine and I have to go. Like,
Time Machine meets Frankenstein.
Yes, it's like Frankenstein in space. So Arthur and Mina are like mad at Van Helsing for he's cagey now about the death of Harker.
Van Helsing?
Yes.
Well, yeah, he's like, Jonathan died.
Yeah. I didn't just say
How did he die? From death reasons, and also he was cremated by me.
Yeah, now you said it was his first mission. What was going on? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
He was successful, just know that.
I have here, it says Dracula flees to England, and no doubt that dude was riding horseback the whole way. And then if he took a boat, he sailed it.
Yeah.
Through the evening. But now he's seeking revenge because that both Harker and his other thrall were killed. And so now he's like, but I don't know if that's revenge or more so he just wants Mina.
I think Lucy.
Yes, doesn't he? But, oh yes, it was Lucy's portrait.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was Jonathan Harker and Lucy was his fiance.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that still was confusing because then Mina was there with Arthur. And then those two are
married.
Weird.
Yes.
Why do you think they did that?
I believe Lucy was Harker's fiance in the original story.
I think Mina was because it's Mina Harker.
I think they changed that in Bram Stoker's Dracula in 91, and that's why
Lucy was the redhead in Bram Stoker's.
But the name Lucy was actually attributed to his fiance in the original Bram Stoker story.
Weird.
I believe.
Okay, that could, yeah. And because I don't remember, I just feel like they just did weird things with the characters.
For sure.
I think they just,
yeah. I
don't know why. And I'm not going to answer that question.
Certainly not going to research.
No, I have. There are a few things in here that will probably answer that question, honestly. But we can hold off. We'll wait till we get to our next segment. But so we've got, this is kind of this like, I don't know, vampiric courting session of the movie where Lucy is now, she starts seeing Dracula. He's appearing on like the terrace outside. He's drinking her blood. Arthur doesn't know what's going on. Van Helsing is like, I think I have an idea. You have to keep garlic above her bed because there's a foul odor on the air.
Well, there's like a doctor and he's like, I don't know what's wrong, but we'll keep an eye on her. Yeah. And then, Lucy's like opening the window at night and just like taking her cross off. And she's compelled by an unknown force. I mean, we know what it is, of course.
And then in the doorway, who should appear one night but Dracula himself?
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember right, he opened both doors.
I think she did it for
Oh, okay.
He was tired. His wrists hurt from opening all those doors before.
Hey,
I'm here.
Hey,
what's up, baby?
Can you open the doors? So then eventually she dies because Lucy dies. Van Helsing asked them to keep the garlic up. They are like, okay, we'll do it. But then they take it down and then Dracula finally finishes Lucy off.
And also she is aware of Jonathan's death without anybody actually telling her that Jonathan died. Yeah. So, and then the maid, she ends up going crazy. Not crazy, but she doesn't want all the garlic around her.
Yeah.
And so she asks the maid to take all that stuff away after Van Helsing said, "Do not take this stuff away."
Yeah. It is very important you listen to me right now.
The next morning, Lucy is found dead, and Van Helsing's like, "I told you."
Yes. Now, is that until later they do the blood transfusion, right? Or do they do the blood transfusion for Lucy?
No, they do that for Mina.
Okay.
Yeah.
When she starts getting the
itis.
Yes. So in I would say a pretty cool scene. You have kind of outside of Lucy's crypt, Arthur shows up, and then there's another like thrall lady vampire woman shows up. Or no, it is Lucy. Lucy is there.
It's Lucy,
right?
and the little girl Tanya says earlier, right before that scene, the little girl says that this girl tried to take her into the woods and she scared her, and Mina said, "Who is it?" And she said, "It's Aunt Lucy." And they're both like, "Oh."
Okay.
And so then Arthur goes out to the tomb. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then he sees Lucy there. She's about to bite Arthur, and Van Helsing pulls out a crucifix. He like steps in the frame. It's very cool, very iconic.
Does the cross on the forehead thing.
Yes, very cool. And then you're like, you should have been there hunting Dracula. Why did you send Jonathan?
You're way better than Harker.
You're so much better.
Way better.
Forces her back into her like tomb, and then both Arthur and Van Helsing go in there and stake her.
Yes.
And then we kind of move on to the next section from there. Oh, go ahead.
They essentially, they meaning Van Helsing and Arthur, decide that they're going to try to find where Drac's coffin is.
Yes, and so they go to the border crossing at Ingolstadt.
And in that same time period, Mina gets a telegram saying to meet Arthur
Yes.
while the fellows are out of town. So she's kind of going to go. She just got a telegram from somebody who's not Arthur who says, I need you to meet me at this place.
It was, and it was written in blood and signed D, which I don't know why she didn't. She should have been like, this is Dracula.
Your favorite door opener.
Yes. There was an illustrated picture of his smiling face with bloodshot eyes down at the bottom
A
left
flip
corner.
book of a hand opening a doorknob.
I do all my own footwork. Now you do your footwork and meet me here.
I do all of my own knob work. Doorknob.
Knob work. All right, so Arthur and Van Helsing visit the Undertaker, but find Dracula's coffin missing at Ingolstadt.
I want to just stop for a moment. At an hour and 4 minutes into the film, we are rewarded with the mortician character. This guy is talking about how some guy fell down the stairs once. He is so goofy and over the top. And at one point, he's like bent. He's bent at the waist and he's tapping his hands on a casket. He's like, "Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?" And it's just so silly.
I wonder. And that scene. That's kind of like a thing, right? That was just like in the 50s cinema. Was just like, hey, we gotta like. What do they call that? Like levity. We gotta
comic relief.
Yeah,
there's a couple scenes where they break the gate.
Okay, yes.
And then also the mortician out of nowhere.
Yeah. Does he get like, was that when he gets to like hitting the balls?
Wait, what?
I feel like there's like, they throw a gate open and it's like doink and he's like, his eyes like cross. He's like, oh, like.
I hope that happened.
I backed it up.
His top hat got taller.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was like, wah, wah. And he's like, oh. But it was regardless of if he got hit in the goods or not.
Yeah.
There's still just like there's this thing like, did they need the whole scene where Dracula does that tap dance in front of the audience?
I'm glad they kept it in.
I mean, I think it was good.
Yeah.
So we go to Mina gets to where Arthur had told her to meet him at, and it's Dracula's coffin.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess.
Yeah, and that's. Not
and then he appears in a doorway from behind her.
Yeah, I'll save it.
I'm back.
I'll save it for the end. But that scene specifically, where she goes to the place and it's Dracula. But then she when the fellas arrive back at the estate, she arrives shortly after, and she's like, "I just went for a walk," and she's looking smug as hell.
Yeah.
But she's been gotten. She's been gotten. Yep.
Everybody's being cagey in this movie. Everybody is. Do you think that Dracula likes doors because they're like coffins? You kind of have to like open them up, and so he's just kind of like, this is familiar to me.
Maybe.
Okay. I just put some theories together.
But in that case, I wonder why he wouldn't have more of the swinging doors.
I feel like that would be a great solution to this problem.
Yeah.
Now, Mina does turn around, and Dracula is like, he very quickly closes the door behind him to try to get her to not see.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense that you mentioned that, because now that I think about it, every coffin in the movie has a doorknob.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and they're actually the old school, like those iron hinge doorknobs.
Real creaky.
Yeah, not efficient at all. So now we go that Arthur tries to give Mina a crucifix to wear, because we're getting toward the final pursuit. They're locking in where Dracula is, and he's like, Mina, you got to be careful. Here's a crucifix. It burned you. You're turning into a vampire. And this is, I think, where we get into the blood transfusion that Van Helsing administers. And then I have, when Arthur asks Gerda to fetch some wine, she tells him Mina forbade her to go down into the cellar, which this is now the most insane scene to me in this film, which is that the coffins are in the basement of the house.
Of the same house, yes.
And Van Helsing.
Of Arthur Homewood's home, yes.
Peter Cushing looks up like somebody lit a fire, and he hauls ass into the basement, and there is Dracula's coffin. It's crazy.
And then when he's in the basement, Dracula opens the door and goes, oh, and then he runs out. That's a great scene. He's just like, oh, geez.
Dracula comes in. He's like, oh, crap. You figured it out while I was out. And he turns around and he runs away. And this is after he opens the door.
But then he runs upstairs, Dracula does, and he absconds with Mina and runs away.
If we ever make t-shirts, we need like a cartoony Dracula in a doorway, like with his hand on the knob with the door open.
Yeah.
And he should be saying something that is clever Dracula related to a door. I have one that I can't say. That's too profane. But it has to be something cheeky.
Yeah.
He could just be like, doors are like coffins.
Maybe he's opened a door on like a stage, like at the Chuckle Hut. Like that's part of his.
It's like a shtick.
Yeah. What's the deal with doors?
Yeah, he like. So then this is also getting into the non-supernatural aspects of Dracula. Peter Cushing and Dracula have like a foot race where they're like chasing each other, and we're just missing a scene of a hallway of those two running door to door, like Benny Hill style.
They run in one and come out down the hallway. Yeah.
At one point, like Van Helsing is looking through one doorway and Dracula opens another and bumps Van Helsing in the butt with the door, and he jumps up in the air and he turns around and chases him back through the door. So Van Helsing, what I wrote is, upon hearing this, Van Helsing bolts downstairs and finds Dracula's coffin, which is empty. Dracula has escaped with Mina. So this is after Dracula's like, "Oh, you caught me," and he runs. He gets Mina, and then he is like, "I'm going to turn her into the vampire bride or whatever."
And he's headed back to Castle Dracula.
Yes.
And then, so he's tearing out with a horse and buggy, and then Arthur and Van Helsing are also they're following him. And that's another thing about, it's so widely different than the original stories that, like Dracula had to cross an ocean to get to London or Germany.
Because they were like Romania, so I think they were.
It's like literally like 20 miles.
That's
horse and buggy.
And he's trudging along. He is. He's walking through like muddy creeks, and he's trying to he's down muddy roads, walking through ruts. So Arthur and Van Helsing, they meet to discuss their plan. Arthur tries to give Mina a cross. Oh no, we already got to that.
Yeah.
But they discuss their plan. They're going to go stop Dracula. Their plan is amazing, which is that Van Helsing is just going to run into Castle Dracula and continue chasing Dracula.
Dracula's plan falls apart here, though, because he gets to Castle Dracula.
Yeah.
He already has a grave dug.
Yeah.
And he throws Mina in the grave, and he just starts shoveling dirt on her. He hasn't said, this hasn't been a thing through the whole movie. He's like, this is the only thing I can think of.
It is.
And then they catch up to him.
Funny.
And then
funny.
Arthur and Van Helsing catch him, and he just runs. He's like,
So here's the crazy
thing. It's like an episode of Cops.
It is. They kick the door open, and he's literally throwing dirt on Mina's body. The crazy thing is he's got like Cushing chases him into like the main room where Harker and that vampire girl at the beginning were like, where she like bit him, and then Christopher Lee showed up, but like Peter Cushing, like he pushes into this room, and Dracula's got like a hatch open, but he didn't have enough time to get in there. Right. So he closes it.
It's really falling apart.
It's another door. Yeah, he's just like, crap. And then they just get into like a physical altercation. Again, not really supernatural aspect. Dracula's just like choking and punching.
Yeah, but like a nice iconic fight between two horror legends. They got like the collar and elbow tie up. They got illegal chokes, And at one point, Dracula's basically got Van Helsing choked out.
Yeah.
And then he's about to, he shows his teeth. He's like, I'm going to bite.
He pulls a WWE, and like WWF, or like old school 80s wrestling. His eyes pop up.
And then, Van Helsing's like, and he like kicks him.
Yeah. And then Dracula, at that point, he like kicks him out of the way. And then great stunt. And I assume it's a stunt performer, but then there's some conflicting information here, but Van Helsing runs across the kind of banquet table that's in the room and then lunges into the air and pulls the tapestry, or the window dressing down, revealing the sunlight. And then Christopher Lee as Dracula is hit by sunlight, and he turns into, I said he turns him to ash. It looks like a makeshift Cabbage Patch head covered in soot.
Yes.
And he just kind of like falls apart. And I think there's some teeth left over or something, if I remember right.
It looks like the same. Like I have a very fuzzy cat at home, and when we vacuum, the canister gets full of what looked like Christopher Lee. He's just very gray and just like look like an evil dust bunny.
The evil Dracula dust bunny in your vacuum. Yeah, and so Mina's saved. Dracula's curse seemingly ends, so she goes back to normal, and there ends the Horror of Dracula. Anything you'd like to add?
We'll just, I mean, are we doing final thoughts?
Well, so we'll go on to our next segment, and then we'll do our likes and dislikes at the end.
Okay,
and that'll
yeah.
be kind of
Then
our final
no,
thoughts.
no.
But anything you want to add to the plot of the film? Anything we missed?
No. I will say when they were heading, when Dracula was trying to get to Castle Dracula to bury Mina.
Yeah, very strange.
That's where they did the comic bit with the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Dracula smashed through there, and then it kind of cut to where the gatekeeper had it tied back up.
Yeah.
And immediately, as soon as he got it, the last lashing tied up,
that's what it was.
That's when Arthur.
That's why I couldn't tell if he got hit in the goods, because it cut back to him and he was just like, oh, I can't believe this. What a weird. That's so strange. Yeah. That's it. We'll get into some additional thoughts on the film here in the next segment. So we're actually coming up about 47-ish minutes. So we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll do I have kind of a background trivia making of segment we'll do, and then we'll do our final thoughts, and we'll call it good on this one. Okay?
Cool.
All right. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Forgotten Frights. I'm Josh. I'm sitting here with Adam.
Hey.
And today on the podcast, we are reviewing the 1958 horror film, The Horror of Dracula, starring Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. I had originally planned on doing kind of a Dracula segment. I watched the other, we're covering two movies today, so I watched the other one this morning. I didn't have a lot of time, but I do have a bunch of just kind of trivia, because this movie is very popular. And it was kind of responsible for, just like The Curse of Frankenstein, in revitalizing these Universal Monsters flicks, things like that. So, yeah, I'm just going to kind of go through some trivia, and then I have some reviews that we can discuss, if you're okay with that. Just kind of like talk about them as we go.
Yep.
Usually we make a game of it, but I think we've talked about, really we're using the game to just facilitate trivia, so why not just discuss the trivia and see how that goes. Adam, so Christopher Lee has only 16 lines in this entire film, and most of them are dispensed by the 10-minute mark, so he doesn't really talk for the rest of the film.
I think that's a great way to use a monster in a movie.
Yeah. Don't make him don't give him any soliloquies.
Yeah.
Monologues.
Yep.
When I was a boy in Transylvania. Peter Cushing did the stunt where he leaps over a banister himself. Now, I don't remember a banister. And I don't know if they're just saying the table, if he did that stunt.
He could have done it when he was going downstairs to the cellar. He could have done it when he was in the fight with Dracula at the very end. He could have done it at the tavern, like, oh, my meal's ready.
Yeah, so, if you go back and watch this film, listeners, look for a banister and then see if Peter Cushing is jumping it, because he did that himself. So he insisted on doing so against the studio's concerns that he might injure himself. But as we know from a Madhouse, according to Vincent Price, Peter Cushing was quite the wiry fellow. The cape worn by Sir Christopher Lee was discovered in 2007 in a London costume shop during its annual inventory taking. It had been missing for 30 years and is believed to be worth around $50,000. Lee was contacted to verify its authenticity.
Wow.
The cape did not. That's something about the vampire costume itself. I think his costume in this film would make a great Halloween costume. That's as far as I got with that idea, because I feel like he's dressed just like a guy in a business suit who's wearing a cape.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like a mortician with a cape.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't again, we can't compare it to, the 91 version because of, it's just, that's not fair. But the extravagance of Dracula is this, whatever, he's this not Romanian, Transylvanian prince, Wallachia or whatever that is. Probably saying that wrong, Wallachia. So he's wearing reds and golds, and it's very this. And then in this movie, he's dress him in your finest mortician suit
I wonder if, because I was raised with the whole Bela Lugosi thing, like being like the epitome of vampire and what a vampire should look like. And now when I go back and watch Bela Lugosi, he just seems kind of like, I don't know, he definitely has a look about him for vampire stuff, but like for Christopher Lee, it's like I feel like he's more raw and like sensual. Like I wonder if it was because every woman in the movie seems to be like under his control, like just and it feels like in more of a sexual way than the Bela Lugosi stuff. So I don't know. Maybe they dressed him down a little bit for that too. I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess there's more. Yeah, there's more of that because that's also one of the things in just kind of like researching this film is they talk about, even Christopher Lee's talking about the sensual nature of the character, and I just got really more of I just got a very like 1950s, very I don't want to say stilted, but it's very. I don't know. It's very wooden. It's just very kind of wooden performance. And then Christopher Lee in an interview was talking about how he was like, I tried to tap into the loneliness of this Dracula. And it's like, I mean, you kind of stood there and just like, you went, blah, you're not really, I didn't get that, So, I'm glad. But also Christopher Lee in hindsight, he has that wonderful interview where the lady keeps calling him a legend of horror films. And he's like, stop calling me that. So. He's an unreliable narrator at best. On several occasions, Sir Christopher Lee complained about the contact lenses he had to wear for the shock scenes, or this is IMDb trivia, so the language is by users, so I'm not sure what that means exactly. But not only were they quite painful, but he couldn't see a thing.
Wow.
So, because I do remember the bloodshot lenses that he was wearing. They were like, that made his eyes red. While he was like, when he came in through that window on the top of the stairs or whatever.
Right. There's a couple of scenes where they're just very close up on Christopher Lee's face, and they're just both there are 2 or 3 of them, but they're just very iconic. Like I've seen those still photos many times in different books and things like that.
Yeah, of him like grimacing.
Yeah, just very close up on Christopher.
I'll do a few more here because then I have a couple of reviews I want to read. This is the first time that Peter Cushing and Sir Christopher Lee are top billed in any theatrical film. The last would be The Satanic Rites of Dracula, 1973. And then we're pushing on toward Madhouse with Peter Cushing and Vincent Price, kind of being, because I think that was the only film those two were top billed in.
I think we talked about that before.
That was part of it. And lastly, we have the opening scene of Dracula's coffin without the blood. It was nodded to in Young Frankenstein. I kind of thought that looked familiar. I don't know if that's absolutely true, but I would assume so.
I think that makes sense.
Because this movie does open up with a pretty cool, like iconic, there's like we've got whatever that is, a plaque or like it says Dracula and the blood dripping on the coffin, and pretty cool. And that is how Young Frankenstein opens as well, but whether that's actually intentional, I don't know. But both definitely share kind of some visual elements there. All right, and let me get to just got a couple of reviews I want to go through. There's one from Variety from 1958. I'm just going to read a paragraph out of here. It says, Universal, which was aboard the spine chill bandwagon with Frankenstein and Dracula as early as 1931, has another fright picture in Horror of Dracula that should pay off handsomely at the box office, despite the non-name cast. Interesting, right? A British-made film, it's being packaged as a horror special with, can't read that part because it's really blurry, but it's also paired with the film The Thing That Couldn't Die. There's gore aplenty in this import, turned out by Michael Carreras' Hammer Film Production, specializing in raw heads and bloody bones, the product that Hammer is also shilling or selling. This is coupled with Curse of Frankenstein, which mopped up at the Wicket, I would assume the box office. It must be English. As was the Curse of Dracula 2, is in color, a factor that tends to heighten the exploitation values inherent in the film. A couple things I want to point out is just non-name cast. I think is interesting to say, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, who would become the icons of the horror genre. And then the other thing is the exploitation in this film, which maybe it's the exploitation of women.
I mean, again, I think
I think it's 58, but it's.
But we're looking at something so far past, where it's like, again, I think the fact that, I haven't seen the original Dracula Universal film in a long time, but I feel like the women in that movie were in peril, and these women were all in their bedclothes, and they were all like, yeah, I'm with this.
I'm opening the window for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what they're speaking to.
I have a IMDb 1-star review. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, the story sucks. The acting is crap. Best part of the movie is the cinematography, sets, and music. The story and acting sucks.
He says it again,
Yeah.
or she, whatever.
The Lee's acting is the worst. His opening dialogue about categorizing his books for his library is nonsense. I agree with that. I think the librarian angle was kind of stupid, but Dracula with a British accent. Real disappointment. Lee looks good in the Dracula costume, but once he opens his mouth, not to bit, I think he means bite, to speak, it's laughter time. Peter Cushing is good, but nothing can save this movie. Please stop being blinded by the love of Dracula and the costumes. The sets, costumes, cinematography, and music are very good, but the story is just painful. The dialogue and the accents embarrassing. C rating for a B movie.
He still gave it a passing grade.
So this is weird. It's a 1-star review, but then at the very end he says C rating for a B movie, 3 stars. He gives it 3 stars, even though he had a word in there. 1 star.
3 stars out of 4.
I guess. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I mean, we can get into our final thoughts, likes and dislikes. We're just coming up on the hour mark, or we're just over the hour mark. So
I actually I'll go into my likes and dislikes momentarily, but there were some actors that were put together in this movie that made me think of another movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's an Amicus anthology movie by the name of Dr. Terror's House of Horrors.
Okay.
So the anthology, the through line story takes place on a train, and Dr. Terror is a tarot card reader, and he's played by Peter Cushing. And he flips a card and then another story starts.
Oh, okay. Very Tales from the Crypt-y kind of.
Well, one of the passengers on the train is Christopher Lee.
Interesting.
And so when he flips the card for Christopher Lee, it tells his story. And his story has to do about this art critic. Christopher Lee is this real snobby, he's a real jerk, this art critic.
Yeah.
And Michael Gough is the artist.
Interesting. And that was Arthur?
Arthur, correct.
Yeah, okay.
And he went on to play Alfred in the Batman movies,
Oh,
1989.
okay. Interesting.
But so there's just a through line where Michael Gough, Christopher Lee, and Peter Cushing were all in that movie. And I believe, I don't know how far, I want to say like 8 years later is when that movie was made.
So we need to cover that movie for sure.
It's one of my favorites, yes.
And then B, was the tarot card a Dracula opening a door?
You know?
It was. It was a Frankenstein opening a door for some reason.
You have the knob of tens.
The knob of tens. What an ugly way. Just an ugly collection of words. It was a Frankenstein opening a door. Like, that's confusing.
That ain't me.
What did you like about this film, Adam?
I liked the basically everything the guy said. I did like the set design a lot. I like the music. I like the atmosphere. I like, it's hard not to appreciate this movie for what it stands for. So, I mean, I'm probably looking at it through rose-colored glasses in that regard. I really like all the actors in the movie. Going into it, watching it as the story of Dracula, there were a few parts where I'm just like, earlier we were talking about the Mina character going to, the guy comes with a telegram, Arthur wants you to come to this place. She goes there. It's Dracula.
Yeah.
There's nothing to subvert your expectations. Like,
sure.
The whole time that's what it's going to be. And this movie kind of just is that. It's like, there's no mystique where it's like, I guess the craziest twist was that the caskets were in the basement.
That was insane to me.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, I thought that was such a laughably bad idea.
Right.
In hindsight, that's like the best part of the movie. It's like, so like, I looked like Peter Cushing in that moment.
Yeah.
We both did the same expression, and I shot out of my chair. I checked my own basement. But continue.
But no, essentially, yeah. I mean, I guess I liked it for the actors. The iconic actors in the movie, the set design, the sound, the atmosphere, and then just I guess the fact that it was very. You knew where it was going the entire time. It was it was a bit plotting, like Curse of Frankenstein.
Yeah. And I think I've always got, and I'm just because we're always working on format, I always break it, I break it up into like likes and dislikes, but I suppose we could just like, at the end of the podcast, just do like just lump likes and dislikes. And then, I mean, that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just getting into likes and dislikes, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee are an amazing pair. As much as I thought, I didn't think much of it at this point. I can see why audiences were like, whoa, very cool. 58. We've got color. It's like a sensual version of Dracula. You've also got, I mean, you have Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee on the screen. So, I mean, I get it. And it shows there, like the way they interact, that last fight, even though it's kind of like hokey and 50s, it's still like, okay, this is engaging. They're throwing themselves into it. It's not like, which actually I'm good. I'm talking about this because there's another movie that we need to review on here or discuss. Captain Kronos.
Yep.
And when we review that, just remember, if we can, the final fight in this film seems like it's on the same set as the final fight in Captain Kronos, Vampire Slayer?
Vampire Hunter, I believe.
Vampire Hunter. But why Captain Kronos is so amazing too. But as soon as I saw it in this movie, I was like, this is like Captain Kronos. But regardless, I like what's going on there. I like the Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing of it all. With that said, as far as dislikes, this sort of is kind of confusing. I think just having the source material, probably watching it in hindsight is not a great idea unless you have like the Wicca opened on it and you're following along, because there's just unnecessary changes that are like, why would they? It just more so it makes you think like, why would they do that? Which you don't want that from the audience while they're watching the movie. I didn't think Christopher Lee is really that imposing as Dracula, and which we discussed. He's opening doors. He's running around. He's constantly being like, he's befuddled, and he's constantly like, Peter Cushing is like catching him in the act of stuff. He's not capable of
It's like
being
an animal,
Dracula.
Though. It's like if you go out and you're throwing something away outside of your house and a raccoon is getting in your trash, he's going to be like, oh shit, and he's going to run, That's what, he's trying to bury a woman. He's like, oh no.
He seems like a serial killer dressed like Dracula. It's just like he loves to murder, but then it's just like, and the cops are Arthur and Peter Cushing, and they're like, oh, the murder is in the basement now. And they're like, okay, go down there, quick. But yeah, so, other than that, but again, with that being said, I think we should continue exploring Hammer films, and we should make it a point to continue exploring the Frankenstein. Whatever you want to call that, the not anthology, but the Frankenstein saga,
the Frankenstein cinematic universe.
Yes, the FCU and the DCU, which the Dracula cinematic universe.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right up until we get to the point where it's Frankenstein's brother and the
vampire's kiss.
The vampire's kiss. Yes. So, but I think we should and we don't have to do it, we don't have to do this sequentially, but I think as we're doing, we should do it sequentially, but we don't have to do it. We could just, as we go through Hammer pictures, like, okay, well, what's the next Hammer picture? Let's just do the next Frankenstein. Let's do the next Dracula.
Yeah, I had no
idea
that they kept anything from the prior film. So
there's something, I swear I read that in one of the movies, like, Frankenstein's trapped in ice.
Even if it's not, we're going to have to try to piece them together.
We are. And I think the vat of acid from the Curse of Frankenstein makes a comeback.
Yeah.
I think the hole that Dracula dug to put Mina in, that makes a comeback. Yep. It still has some dirt in it, so they're pressed for time to try to stop him.
Just Easter eggs.
Yeah, they're like,
oh, acid vat, yeah.
Okay, again,
post credits.
If we can get a T-shirt that says acid vat from the Curse of Frankenstein, would be great. Okay, anything you want to add, Adam, before we close out?
The only thing I can think of is that in The Curse of Frankenstein, I'm thinking nothing actually happened, and he was just so huffed up on those acid fumes that he dreamed all of that stuff.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah.
So in the sequel, he just wakes up. The whole first film was a dream.
It's like in a snow globe, like in Hill Street Blues. No, that's...
and then the Frankenstein movie plays out the sequel.
Hill Street Blues.
Wait, what's going on?
Nothing. Never mind.
Okay. So yeah, we'll close out here. And I thought, I guess got to remember, I need to cut this part, but no, yeah. So just listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to catch us on Podbean, or we're on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music. Follow us there. If you want to send me hate mail, I have an email at forgottenfrights@gmail.com. You could also send nice emails or ask questions or clarifications. If you have trivia on some of these movies that we've covered that we just completely botched and you want to clarify stuff, send it our way. I'll read it on the podcast. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but I will read it. Adam cares too.
Yeah, and it was saying elsewhere.
It was saying else. Oh yeah, where it turns out it's a snow globe.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was thinking of when they wake up. The girl wakes up, and the guy's in the shower. But that's
Dallas.
Yeah. And then there's also not the Carol Burnett show, but who wakes up? There's another one where it's
Bob Newhart.
Bob Newhart,
Yeah,
where he
yeah,
wakes
yeah.
up and he's like, I just had the craziest
Yeah,
dream.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then Roseanne, where she's like writing a book at the end. They all finish.
Right, yeah.
All shows eventually end on a dream or a snow globe.
Yep. Sorry about all the spoilers.
Yeah, sorry about the spoilers, guys. And sorry we ended the podcast this way. So anyway, yeah, we will, this is it. I'm done talking. Goodbye. Oh, wait. Good night and good fright.